Welcome back, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining us. We'll get started here today. So this is just kind of a call to kind of kick off our year and to talk about all things FRN. All right, well, just to introduce ourselves, my name is Julia Gerard. For some reason, my picture got really small in this moment. That's actually comical. But I am the program coordinator at Food Recovery Network. So I'm kind of the one who talks to all current chapters. I'll be the one to send you lots of different emails about different things, different programs. I'm here to answer any questions that you have about food recovery. And I'm really excited. This is my second year on the team. I'm actually from Buffalo, New York, but right now I'm down in Florida. So really excited to work with everyone again this year. Learned a lot last year and got to talk to lots of different chapter leaders. So I'm really excited to talk to everyone again and see what we can do this year. In the middle, we have our new program assistant, Andy. Andy is joining us from the University at Buffalo chapter. They'll kind of be helping me with all things future programs, chapter leaders, and talking and sending out different grants and doing all sorts of things. So you'll definitely see Andy in the future. They couldn't join us today, but you'll see them for sure. And then we have Matt. He is also joining us from the University at Buffalo chapter, another new program assistant. So he'll be the one to kind of help us out with the chat and has lots of really good insight on chapters from founding one and running one himself. So he's actually working more kind of on that chapter outreach side of things. So starting new chapters, but you'll see him in the future too. So that's kind of the team. Sorry, my picture's so small. It wasn't like that 5 minutes ago, but we're rolling with it. So that is us today. There we go. Our goals for today is to just kind of get everyone on that same page. So discuss the forms required by FRN National for the 2023-2024 school year. We'll talk about all of them today. It's not too many, but I just want to make sure that everybody knows kind of what you'll be looking for and kind of when to fill out those things. So we're also going to go over some helpful resources and where you can find those, and then answer any questions you have, announce some upcoming programs that we're going to be running this year that we're really excited for, and then provide some contact information so that if you have any questions, you know where to go, you know who to ask. So that is our goals for today. So before we go into future stuff, I just kind of want to talk about last year because it was a really great year. I know we have some returning chapter leaders, lots of returning friends, and some new friends too. So I just kind of wanted to paint a picture of what last year looked like. So it was literally a record-breaking year. We had 90% of chapters recovering food. Normally it's around 60%. So 90% of chapters recovering food was a crazy spike. Really cool. And with that, we had reports of almost 445,000 pounds of food recovered. That is an insane amount of food. Like, so proud of everyone. This is just on the chapter side of things. So this is what you all did. Just really incredible work. And that saving all of that food, right, goes right into the community as meals. And it also helps save lots and lots of carbon dioxide from being emitted into the atmosphere. So it's like a little bit over 190 metric tons of carbon dioxide, which is crazy. So just really great job. And we know that a lot of our chapters are doing food recovery work, but we also do lots of other things too, right? So 48% of our chapters participated in advocacy. So advocating on campus, advocating on Capitol Hill. We had some chapters go there. Just doing lots of different things in that food recovery scene, right? And with that, we had so many partners and almost 7,000 student volunteers, which is a lot. So that was our 2022-2023 recap. I just wanted to share some of those stats with all of you because it's really interesting to see what we've done in the past and to kind of see what we can do in the future too. So let's talk about this upcoming year and where you can find lots of things. So on our website, that foodrecoverynetwork.org, we have lots and lots of resources. We have guides. That's where all of these forms that I'll talk about today can be found. So definitely check that out after this if you haven't already clicked around there before. Thank you for dropping that, Matt. So you can see lots of different things, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. So some guides that I think are really helpful that are on that student resources page. We have kind of our beast of one called the Guide to Food Recovery. So that is like 40 pages long. You don't have to read the whole thing. It has a really nice, robust table of contents. And what you can do is actually just kind of click through there and get a lot of questions answered for you. So this is especially helpful if you're having to kind of reset up your food recovery plan, right? Or if you're kind of a newer chapter and you're this semester, you want to start recovering food. That has a lot of helpful like little tips and tricks and things to do to kind of make your food recovery process a little bit easier and a little bit more streamlined. So I would definitely recommend checking that one out. The one in the middle is our volunteer recruitment guide. So over the years, we've heard from chapter leaders that recruiting volunteers is kind of a very difficult part of this process. So we had a guide, we gave her a little facelift last year. So this is the new version. It's really nice. It has a lot of different little ideas about tabling, or if you want to do something other than tabling, right? Different ideas for events and different ways to recruit more friends or recruit more volunteers, right? So that one is also on that student resources page if you want to check that out too. And then kind of one of the most important ones that I just want us all to keep in mind is forming and transitioning a leadership team, right? So in every chapter, we have a few student leaders that are in charge of that chapter, right? There's a guide on our website and on that student resources page that kind of helps you formulate a leadership team. So maybe you want to add someone else onto your executive board. Maybe you are transitioning, somebody's graduating and you need someone new to come in. That is very helpful. There's also a checklist that helps make sure that you're doing that transition on time, because you all pour so much work into these programs that we want to make sure that you have the tools and the resources you need to be able to continue this on even after you graduate. So those are really helpful resources. I know lots of times towards the end of semesters, student leaders will be like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to help the next people. We have guides out there for you to help you move your chapter and keep it going. So those are some guides. And then on our student resources page, we have more forms and guides and things like that on there, but just kind of separated into 3 different tracks. So I just want to touch on all 3 of these and give you some ideas on what you can do. So we know that lots of our chapters are kind of in that first track, which is food recovery. When you sign up to start a chapter, so if you're on a chapter that's been around for 10 years, you probably didn't see some of this language, but it asks you to pick a specific track. And that's just so we can help you start going down that track and help you build out things. But lots of chapters will dabble in 2 or maybe do a little bit in everything. But our main one is food recovery, right? Taking that surplus food from dining halls or from off-campus restaurants, from farms, lots of different places, taking surplus food and then rerouting it into the community. So giving it to hunger fighting partner agencies. So that's food recovery. There's lots of guides on that student resources page to help you do that. In the middle, we have advocacy. Like I said before, almost half of our chapters last year were involved in some sort of advocacy measure, right? Either kind of being on campus and talking to different students about food insecurity, trying to make their campus a better place, that kind of thing. So lots of that can look so many different ways. I wouldn't even be able to name them all right now, but definitely check out, there's some advocacy guides. And if anyone is interested in advocating more or looking for some different things, definitely feel free to email us. We have quite a few members on our team that have a lot of advocacy background and would love to chat with you. So I'll just say that. And then our 3rd track is community engagement. So lots of times chapters will go into out into their community and talk to those people that they've donated the food to and hold different events and such like that. So community engagement is a really fun one to do as well. Seeing where your food goes, even if you don't recover food, but going to different places that are out there in your community. I know sometimes being on a college campus can kind of feel, depending on your campus, can kind of feel like you're in this little bubble. So food recovery is so great because food intersects everything. It's part of life. So it's really important to go out there and do all these different things. So these are 3 different tracks. Chapters, you can dabble in all of them or just one, but we have lots of resources online for you to kind of look at any of those that you want to try out this year. Okay, so here's some of these forms that Food Recovery National requires. Our first one is the food tracking form. If you're not recovering food, you don't have to worry about this. But if you're planning on recovering food, this is essentially how you are going to keep track of that food. So in that kind of middle, the middle left picture, that is a screenshot of our website. So right when you go to our website, foodrecoverynetwork.org, it'll ask you to log your recovery. You click that and it brings you to this little form. And essentially you just put in your name, your school, how many volunteers you had, how much food you had. And then what will happen is that information will actually go straight into that Google sheet that's on the right-hand side. So it auto-populates whatever you put into that form, right into a spreadsheet that is specific to your chapter. And what's really cool is that you can even go back like years to see how much your chapter has recovered to date, which is really, really cool. If you're ever looking for that spreadsheet on the bottom right, if you go to our chapters page on our website, if you go to your specific chapter, it'll say pounds to date, and that's how you get to that spreadsheet. That spreadsheet does not allow you to change it at all. That's kind of only on our end, but if you notice there's an error with it, feel free to just email us and we can fix it. Those things tied together makes it a little bit tricky for us to have like lots of editors on it. So that's kind of the only reason that is that way. But with our food tracking forms, it kind of depends on how you want to do it. Sometimes chapters will do it after every recovery. Sometimes they'll just do it after a month or like halfway through the semester and then once at the end. It's however works for you. Every chapter has a different system that works for them, and we just want to meet you where you're at. What we do ask is that we know the total pounds by the end of the semester. So that'll lead me into another form later, but our end of semester surveys that we send out at the end of each semester will ask you how much food you've recovered that semester. So what you can do is you can put that number in there, and you can also put it in the food tracking form. But sometimes chapters will do 10 recoveries a week, and so I don't want you to have to do all 10 of them into there. I see this question. I was told that we could just submit our semester-long spreadsheet at the end of the semester. Do we still need to do the website form? No, you do not. If you send us your spreadsheet with all of the food that you're recovering already, then you don't have to fill it out in this food tracking form. But I will say it is a little bit easier if people do use the food tracking form, because then, like I said, it just auto-populates. But if you have a nice spreadsheet already, like feel free to send that to us too. Good question. All right, so another one of our resources that I wanted to share with you all today is our chapter funding. So every single chapter has about $100 to $150 per chapter per semester to use. We found that lots of chapters get money from their school or from outside sources, and usually chapters require about $100 to $150 from us. So this can be used towards supplies, FRN merchandise, reimbursements for maybe travel costs, volunteer appreciation events, lots of different things. Essentially anything you would need for your chapter, you can either have reimbursed or we can purchase for you. So Matt, could you put that one in the chat? Perfect, thank you. So that form he just put in the chat. It's a little bit long, but just take a second, read through it. You essentially have 2 different options. You could do a reimbursement, or you could do a supply request, or you could do both. But if anyone has any questions on that, please do let us know. You have this funding available for you, and we want to make sure that you can use it. And if you had funding from last year through some of our other challenges, we're holding onto that money, but that sounded weird. Essentially, we have that money in a bucket still, and if you use that form, what you can do is use that money as well. So that's pretty much just the case for anyone who did Boulder Bracket Bingo. If you filled out a grant request a few weeks ago, we are currently going through all of them. But Sadie, I will write down your name and check yours out after this. If it's been about 2 or 3 weeks and you, after putting in a grant request and you still haven't gotten a response from us, please do email us. We'll just double check to make sure that it all went through. So that's kind of a little bit on grant funding. I just have this little note at the bottom. If you have like a really great idea and you want to do something to help recover more food or do a special event at your chapter, please let us know. If it's something that requires more funding, we can definitely kind of help out with that. So please feel free to send us an email. We're here to kind of take your ideas and make them come true and do all of these different things. So that's with grant funding.
Julia, you had a quick question about
Yes.
if a school is on the quarter system rather than the semester system.
Yes, good question. So if you're on the quarter system, essentially what we do is our fall semester is from like August till December. So that's our first grant cycle. And then the second one is from January to June. So for quarter schools, I would just think about it as you have money from, what did I just say? Sorry, August to January, and then from January to June of that 150. If you don't use that 150 in what we're calling the fall semester, right, that first section, you can still use what you didn't use there in the second one. So for those that are quarterly, if you don't remember like the timing of it, it's okay. You'll still have that money from the fall into the spring. Really good question. Quarterly schools, I always forget sometimes, so I'm so sorry. But very good question. So feel free to ask any more grant questions as well, because I know that can sometimes be a little bit tricky. At the end, I'll get to all the other ones I haven't gotten to yet. So communications wise, so we're having this call to kind of go over lots of different things, but every single month we send out a monthly e-newsletter, and that just essentially will talk about anything from the past month that was of note and anything that you need to know for the future. The most important part of this whole presentation is this middle part. So our email is programs@foodrecoverynetwork.org. Please add this as a contact into your email because sometimes we end up going to spam or to junk. So if you can, please move that into a contact. That means we just get bumped back into the inbox. And by doing that, we're very cognizant. We don't want to send you a million emails. So we're not going to overwhelm or flood your inbox, but please move that just so that you can get those newsletters and get all those announcements and things. So, and then lastly, we do have some social media. So we're just at Food Recovery. We have an Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. So those are our 4. Anything that is for chapters, we'll also post on there too. So in case you don't see the email, you'll probably see it on social media as well. So going over kind of our timeline of things for the fall, and then we'll go to the spring. So fall 2023, the main thing that we need from chapters right now is our official chapter agreement, which is due September 30th. This is just a quick list of what it takes to be an official chapter, and then a signature at the end. So please be sure to fill that out. That's just so we know that you are still wanting to be an official chapter for the 2023 to 2024 school year. And then throughout September to December, like I was saying before, keep filling out those food tracking forms, check your email, check socials to see for any of those special programs. And then kind of mid to end December, we'll put out our end of semester survey. And that essentially is just so that we can hear about your semester. It's kind of a longer survey, but it's really the only like big one that we'll send out. And that's so we can hear more, we can get some feedback. And that's a really good kind of data collection tool for us and to help with our programs for the next year. So that's fall. And then we'll just talk quickly about spring. So January to April, keep filling out those food tracking forms. start thinking about leadership team transitions. If you know that someone is graduating, kind of keep that in mind as you continue on throughout the semester. And then March, back by popular demand, we are going to do our Bowl to Bracket Bingo Challenge, which if you didn't see last year, we made a bingo board. And if you completed the challenges or the little activities on that bingo board, sent us some picture proof, or filled out food tracking forms, then you received that amount of funding for your chapter to use. So that was really great. We got a lot of good feedback on that. So that'll be the month of March. Last year, it was like half of February and all of March, but this year it'll just be the month of March. So keep that one in mind. And then April, most of the time we'll put out kind of a call for end of semester food recoveries. So this could be a refrigerator clean out, like a graduation event recovery, or doing like a food drive on your campus. As we all know, there's lots of surplus food, and there's especially a lot of surplus food at the end of the semester. So we like to promote kind of doing something a little bit extra towards the end of the semester to see if you can get more surplus food and direct that into your communities, or even to keep it on campus, right? And then again, we have another end of semester survey that'll go out probably the beginning of May. If you are a quarterly school and you're not done with recoveries yet, you can still fill that out all the way through June. So that is our spring timeline. Again, all of these things will be announced through emails and through social media again, but I'm a very spatial person, so I wanted to give everyone kind of the picture, the timelines of what would happen. So did we have any other questions in the chat? Anyone else wants to drop one in? I'm just going to go over kind of some upcoming programs after this that you can keep your eye out for in the fall. But wanted to make sure I had enough time to answer anything else. I'll give it one more minute in case anybody thinks of another question. What is FRN's funding sources? So I'm on the programs team. We have a full development team as well. And so a lot of them are through grants from other companies and organizations. We tell them about all the great work of our chapters, and then they are willing to fund them. Good question.
There's also a question about how to apply for care packages.
Yes, for sure. So how to apply for care packages, that is just another form that we have currently on that student resources page too, and that Matt just dropped in the chat. Thank you. It's really just us looking for a good address to send the care package to you to. So you don't really have to like fully apply. It's just fill out that form, and then we will send you one in the next 2 or 3 weeks. And that just has some fun like FRN merch in there just to get you started and to say thank you and welcome back. So cool. Okay, I'm going to go to the next slide just so there's time. But if you have any more questions, keep filling them in. So just as reminders, this is kind of the next upcoming stuff. Official chapter agreement due September 30th. That's that graphic on the left. And then in the middle, we are having our FRN's biannual roundtable talk. This is with our development team, our executive director and chief operating officer. They just kind of talk about FRN, what we've done for the past 6 months, and what we're looking to do in the future. That's a really kind of fun conversation just to see how FRN National operates as a whole. So if you're interested in that, the links for that are also on our website. And then just as kind of a fun little announcement, so I would mention our like special programs in the fall. So this is going to be 2 things that we're going to do. On September 20th at 6:30 p.m., we're going to have what we're calling a brain blast. And we're inviting students and alumni to kind of come together and into just one big brainstorming session where we talk about a few different topics. So it'll be breakout rooms, and we'll talk about volunteer recruitment ideas, kind of food recovery in general, and then different event ideas too. We found that chapter leaders want to meet other chapter leaders and hear about different things, and alumni want to put their voice in too, right? They led chapters for a really long time. So that's kind of going to be an opportunity for everyone to meet and greet and and talk about what they do and bring some new ideas. So really excited for that one. Matt just dropped the registration link if you want to join us. And then just as kind of a heads up, we have a photo video raffle contest that we're going to run kind of end of March, beginning of November. So if you do any food recoveries, if you have any events, like be sure to take some pictures and some videos. And then we'll do kind of a raffle contest to see if you can win some fun prizes. So that's just kind of an FYI. So you can start taking pictures now if you do anything, but more information on both of those to follow through both that email and that social media. So, all right. And then lastly, I just wanted to put our contact information up here. Again, please make programs@foodrecoverynetwork.org a contact in your email so that we go straight to that inbox and not spam. And then at any point during the semester, or even if you're on break, please feel free to schedule a one-on-one with us. That'll be with me or Andy or B and Andy to talk about kind of more of the specific things to your chapter. I can go over any of these forms, resources with you. We can do some brainstorming and see what we can do to help your chapter. So it's really great. I love having my talks with chapter leaders and being able to kind of, problem solve and think of new ideas. So please feel free to schedule a one-on-one call. What I'll say is we are here to help you, and we are so excited and so proud of all of the work you have been doing in the past and in the future. So please do feel free to contact us. And if you have any other questions, you don't have time to do a full-on call, feel free to email us any of those questions you might have.